Most people spend 40 years trying to figure out money. We're gonna do it in 10 minutes. Ready?
Always.
Fire your first question.
Why do people keep retiring their dollars? Don't they realize that the more they spend, the less freedom they have?
Spending buys relief today. Investing builds freedom tomorrow. And most people cannot wait until tomorrow.
Relief from what?
Relief from their own thoughts, Claire. It's a classic distraction that makes them feel briefly positive and optimistic.
Optimistic about what?
Optimistic about what the purchase will give them. A car? They hope it proves their worth. A house? They expect respect.
You mentioned that this relief is temporary. Why is that?
Because the purchase never delivers what they imagined. People treat them the same, and the glamour of the new item fades fast. They think, maybe the thing I bought wasn't good enough, big enough, or impressive enough. So they chase after something even bigger. People's happiness usually returns to a stable baseline, even after big ups or downs in life. Psychologists call this the Hedonic Treadmill. In other words, when something exciting happens, like getting a raise, buying a new car, or moving into a bigger house, happiness spikes for a while, but then gradually settles back to the usual level.
Julian, last time you promised to explain how every dollar invested instead of wasted can bring back baby cents.
Those baby cents are the returns, the profits, the interest. And here's the magic. Those baby cents grow up and become workers themselves. They go out, earn more, and have their own children. Over time, you don't just have a few workers, you have an entire army, all working for your financial freedom. You see, Claire, this is one of the core differences in how people think about money. A consumer looks at a $100 bill and thinks, what can I buy with this today? They see the end of the road for that money. But an investor looks at that same $100 and thinks, how can I turn this into $120? They see a seed that hasn't been planted yet.
But Julian, what's the difference? Either way, it's just $20. Is $20 really worth the wait?
It's never just about the first $20, Claire. It's about the velocity and the reinforcements.
Velocity? Reinforcements? Could you explain that?
Sure. Velocity means how quickly your dollars move and multiply when they're invested. If you invest $100 and it takes 10 years to become $120, that's low velocity. Your worker was on a very long, slow mission. But if you invest $100 into a system, say buying inventory for a side hustle, and it turns into $120 in 1 month, the velocity is high. If you can flip that $100 every month, you're not making 20% a year. You're making 20% 12 times a year. That worker is running sprints, not a marathon.
And the reinforcements?
Most people retire the $20 reinforcement immediately. They spend it on a pizza because they think, hey, it was free money. But an investor sends the veteran and the reinforcement back into the field together. Now you have a 120-man unit, then a 144-man unit. That's why wealth isn't built by one paycheck or one investment. It's built by velocity, the speed of compounding, and reinforcements, the new dollars that join the fight for your freedom.
So reinforcements don't just increase the army, they make it move faster too?
Precisely. That's the snowball effect. While the person who spent their $100 is working overtime to earn another $100 just to stay level, your army is out there recruiting while you sleep. The rich don't work for money. They build a system where their money recruits more money. And that, Claire, is the only real way to buy back your time. You aren't buying a car. You're buying your Friday afternoons off for the rest of your life.
Let's cut to the chase, Julian. You mentioned how wealthy people don't just invest, they build systems. That's the good stuff. What kind of systems? Well, almost everyone knows the basics. If you put your money in a savings account, you'll earn around 4% interest in a year. If you invest in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund, you might average about 7% annually. Real estate often returns about 8% per year. But truly wealthy people go far beyond that. They don't just rely on simple returns. They create systems that keep generating income, even when they're not working. So, where do the rich invest? And what kinds of systems do they build?
You're right, Claire. 7% in an index fund is a great way to stay wealthy, but it's a slow way to get wealthy. The truly rich don't just wait for the market to give them a gift. They build or buy cash flow systems.
Systems? What kind of systems?
Think of a system as anything that works while you sleep. There are three main engines the wealthy use to go beyond that 8%. First, there is the business engine. Instead of buying a share of someone else's company, you build your own. When you own the whole machine, you aren't getting a 7% dividend, you're keeping the profit margin. If it costs $20 to make a product and you sell it for $100, that's a 400% return on your worker dollars. Next, there is the debt engine, also called leverage. This is the secret sauce, Claire. If you buy a house for $100,000 cash and it goes up 10%, you made $10,000. That's 10%. But if you put down $20,000 and borrow $80,000 from the bank to buy that same house, if that house goes up 10%, $10,000, you didn't make 10% on your money. You made 50% on your $20,000 investment. You used the bank's workers to multiply your own. And third, there is the scalability engine. This is exactly what we're doing in the software company we own, Claire. We build a product once, a piece of software, and then it can be sold to one customer or 1 million customers. The cost to us is the same. That's a system with infinite leverage. A poor person trades time for money. A middle-class person trades money for interest. But a wealthy person trades systems for freedom. They build a machine, fine-tune the gears, and then step away while the machine keeps producing those baby cents.
But wait, Julian. Using the bank's money, leverage, or starting a business, those workers can die in battle. That's risk.
Correct. And that is why the biggest investment a rich person makes isn't in a stock. It's in their own financial education. They don't take blind risks. They take calculated bets. They spend money to learn how the machines work before they start turning the handle.
Julian, starting a business or using leverage wisely are easy enough concepts to understand. But building systems, that's the hardest part. Could you elaborate? Can you give me an example of what you mean when you say wealthy people build systems?
You're right. Building a system sounds like engineering, but it's actually about divorcing your time from your income. Most people are the engine of their own lives. If they stop pedaling, the bike stops moving. A rich person builds a motorized bike.
Okay, enough with the metaphors, Julian. Give me a real-world example. What does a system actually look like?
Okay, let's look at a real-world example. Suppose you own a cafe. If you're the one making every cup of coffee, your income is limited to your presence. The moment you step away, the cappuccino machine sits idle. But if you own a coffee vending machine instead, you invest some initial time and money to set it up, and while you're off doing something else, the vending machine keeps producing results. You don't have to watch the bubbles, you just have to maintain the machine. And here is the rich person's perspective, Claire. The machine doesn't just make coffee once. It makes coffee for 100 people in the neighborhood.
So the system is really just a way to make sure the work happens whether you are there or not.
Indeed. If you have to be there for the money to be made, you don't have a system, you have a job. If the money is made while you're at the park, you have a wealth machine. And here's the best part. The vending machine doesn't just boil the water, it also handles the transaction. The machine performs multiple steps whether you're there or not. The machine itself becomes the system. It's the seller. It accepts the money. It's the maker. It brews the coffee. It's the server. It delivers the cup. And it's the security. It keeps the money safe until you come to collect it. One machine, multiple roles, all working whether you're there or not. The vending machine doesn't get tired. It doesn't ask for a raise. It doesn't take a day off. It stays on that corner 24/7, pitching your coffee to every passerby while you're at home. That's the power of a system. It keeps working faithfully, whether you're there or not.
So, rich people build systems that cover the entire loop, from making the product to taking the payment.
Absolutely. Most people focus on the work, making the coffee. The wealthy focus on the loop, the machine that sells the coffee. If you have to be the one handing the cup to the customer and taking their $2 bill, you've built yourself a high-pressure job. But if the machine does the handing and the taking, you've built an asset.
Okay, I see it now. The vending machine is a 24/7 employee that never complains. But Julian, even a machine needs someone to refill the beans and collect the coins. Isn't that still work?
That is maintenance, Claire, not labor. Labor is when you are the machine. Maintenance is when you manage the machine. Labor ties your income to your presence. Maintenance frees your income from your presence because the system keeps working while you simply keep it in good condition. And here is the ultimate goal. Once you have 5 vending machines, you don't refill the beans yourself. You hire a bean recruiter to do it for you. Your time shifts from stocking beans to scouting the next corner for a machine. You stop working in the business and start working on the system. That's how a single person ends up owning an army of workers without ever breaking a sweat. To make crystal clear what a system is, let's look at another example. Say you own a car wash. You don't spend your days scrubbing tires. Instead, you install an automatic washing machine, set up software to handle payments, and hire a manager to oversee operations. That's a system. It runs without you being the one holding the sponge.
If it's that easy, why doesn't everyone do it?
Because building a system requires front-loaded effort. You have to work for free for months, sometimes years, before the machine ever clicks into gear. Most people quit when they don't see an immediate paycheck. The wealthy keep building until the system pays them back endlessly.
Thank you, Julian. This was the best financial education I ever received. I think I'm ready to start my own army.
Most people will watch this, nod their heads, and then go buy another distraction. But those who truly understand will start building. So let me ask you, what's one system you can start building this week? It could be a digital product, a side hustle, or even automating your first $100 investment. Drop it in the comments. We read every single one. See you in the next one.